T to the A to the K to the E to the T to the H to the A to the T. Podcast. Say Take That Podcast.
Take That Podcast.
Take That Podcast, episode 1, now with more action.
Did everyone pee, or else GMO is going to be angry at us? I now declare Take That Podcast in session.
Should we perhaps start with introductions?
All right, we'll start with introductions.
Oh, you know, that's a very weird idea.
How odd.
Hate introductions.
Who goes first?
Let's start with the famous persons.
Okay, Darwin.
All right. If indeed what I have can be called fame, I describe myself as a D-list internet celebrity, but all right, fame, I'll take it. Hey there, I'm the internet's Take That Darwin. I am, call me Dal. I enjoy retweeting creationists. Whoever's next, go.
Go next. And I'll say I don't enjoy retweeting the people who I retweet. I basically retweet anybody who happens to just slip out a single letter of pseudoscience. So yeah, I'm Take That GMOs.
Go,
right.
Stalin.
Sorry, who Godwin? Me? Oh, right, sorry. Hi, I'm Take That Godwin. I took a leaf out of Darwin's book and I chose a topic of cringeworthiness, and in my case, it's people who use and abuse Godwin's law. That's it. Next.
Reason.
Yes, yeah, well, I used to retweet like racists and neo-Nazis, and then I got tired of that because it melted my brain, and now I just retweet stupid people in general.
Which includes racists and neo-Nazis often.
Yeah, he focuses on them just specifically.
And then the last one.
And I am Take That Etymology, and I started by making a joke that I was going to retweet all the people who said that universe means a single spoken sentence. But there's really just way more out there of things that people say about how words are magic, and it's very funny. And you can call me Laura also.
Wait, words
unicorn,
aren't magic?
the one with unicorn stands out. Oncorn.
Oh yeah,
like
yeah. One time the for some reason I try to do I try to tweet every week all the people who have said the universe thing, but one week the search was broken, I think. Or maybe it was actually the people hadn't said it for a week. So instead I retweeted all the people that wondered why unicorn means one corn, because what does corn have to do with unicorns? So segue from what we all retweet. Of all the people you've retweeted, what is, or anyone else, what do you think is the saddest argument you've seen?
I'd straight up say it's the shell gambit. It's just silly.
In my area of work, there are no arguments.
Yeah, that's actually a good one.
Yes.
For me, it's really it all boils down to the same thing. You can't really go, well, Uber Godwin, if you will. But yeah, most of the arguments are in the same league of stupidity. It's always you know who else was, or you know who else did this. It always comes down to Hitler, Stalin, or Pol Pot references.
Yeah. You did find me a Genghis Khan once, though, and that was pretty good.
Yeah.
I think there were several. There were several Genghis Khans.
Yeah, I'm not saying they're not creative. I mean, stupidity has very, very creative ways of expressing itself, but it's not more or less stupid than everything else I retweet. Let's just say I'm not really an alcohol user. It's just beer in my case, but if I were to solve my problems with drinking, I'd be drunk 24/7.
Indeed.
It's not a bad choice, as far as lifestyles go.
I actually think the saddest among the people that I retweet are the people who retweet about the origin of religion and then talk about how, their religion is not a religion. Because religion ties you down, which is one possible, there is a possible etymology that might be correct, but they're really misinterpreting it. And even if it was correct, who cares? But they always combine it with, Jesus is my best buddy, but religion is sad because it ties you down. All right.
Okay.
Okay.
You wanna check timelines then? Are you sure you're up to it?
We did have a request for timeline reading.
Yes, yes. Okay, so there's this guy, I sent a couple of tweets out, and then we got a couple of responses, so we could read some of those out.
Go for it. While I'm looking for that, I'm going to talk about what I think is the saddest argument from anyone else on other people's timelines, and the people that Darwin retweets sometimes that say things like, I couldn't have come from a monkey because I can't climb a tree. And that's just sad to me, because climbing trees is fun. And I really feel like maybe they should go out.
That's
they
the
should go
point.
out and get in touch with their inner monkey, and they would have such a good time.
That's
so
the
even
point
if we
that
didn't-
stands out for you then. The fact that you're sad that climbing trees is a good thing, not the fact that people legitimately say I can't be related to a monkey because I can't climb trees.
No, it's a sad as an argument because it's so stupid, but it also makes me feel sad for them as people because even if they refuse to accept evolution, I wish they would go climb a tree because they might have a good time. Maybe they'd be happier people.
How about the
That would be
ones?
consolidation.
Yeah, go on.
How about the ones
Well,
who say, I don't look like a monkey, because it kind of suggests that they maybe are a little sensitive about their monkeyishness.
Yeah, maybe. I don't understand that either because I really don't understand how you can actually look at monkeys and not think you look like a monkey for real.
People just generally take it as an insult.
Yes.
Like this. Yes, like. If
I'm
you
just
call someone...
wondering, have they ever been to a zoo?
Okay, I got some out. There's this guy who says he's at Tedeminus, I think. I can't pronounce that. Sorry if I didn't pronounce your handle properly. He says, I imagine it'll be an hour and a half of screams of pain periodically broken up by drags from a bottle.
That's true. I have some bottles here. I could probably share you. This is like the worst thing. I grabbed the Baileys because that's like the classiest thing to be taking a swig of.
Baileys.
Look, it's good in coffee. Don't judge me.
But
that's not
as a mixer, sure, but yeah, you just don't want to chug a Baileys.
That's what I was saying. It was the saddest thing to happen to.
Yeah.
I can imagine it tastes good in coffee. After all, Bailey's is alcoholic coffee creamer.
Yeah, pretty much. They also make non-alcoholic coffee creamers.
Yeah, they
but
call
I
it
haven't
coffee
tried them.
creamer.
But Bailey's, the company, makes a non-alcoholic coffee creamer, which is also a coffee creamer.
So about sad people, I mean, mine are usually just hyperboles. I mean, stupidity abound, but what is the stupidest thing, the actual stupidest thing that one of you has come across? Something that would make you facepalm or head disc.
Go ahead.
I would say me and Resin or Reason receive the worst, or we deal with the worst types of people: neo-Nazis, racists, and then just downright crazy people. So I'd say
the single worst thing.
Gone.
Oh yeah, that's the single worst thing that made you go, why am I doing this and why am I not an alcoholic yet?
Let's see, I always favorite the very best worst ones, so I'm going to look real quick through my list of favorites. I also favorite things I like, so I have a good combo of things that are terrible.
For example, GMO.
Yes.
Do you come across anything that makes you go, what the hell am I reading?
Do I come across is not the appropriate way to phrase this.
Do you
How much I come across this stuff?
Okay, what makes your head bang the desk most frequent?
Generally, when it comes to this topic, which is dealing with, the whole naturalistic fallacy and then organic and genetically modified organisms, there's just a lot of misinformation, and it's as Mark Linus put it, it's just a big conspiracy theory that's just kind of hid itself as not a conspiracy theory.
For me, there's not the thing that makes me most facepalm, because when you go to the white genocide hashtag, everything is the same. There's three arguments 80 million times.
That is a well of manure.
It is, and they have nothing but repeated catchphrases. Like
Yes.
there's not. They never say anything that's not a repeated catchphrase. It's really very creepy.
They call it the mantra, which
I didn't
is
know
itself
that.
creepy as hell.
Darwin, I mean, being at this the longest and having a seemingly endless supply of cringe-worthy things that would make me want to shoot myself in the head repeatedly.
If I had a dime for every time, yeah. But anyway,
what would be the most? What would be the what the fuck tweet that comes to mind in your case?
the one that immediately sprung to mind when I read this, the most inexplicable question one, was long, long ago. This was probably not too long after I started my account. I found someone who said, so if everything evolved from monkeys, that means insects came from monkeys? That means trees evolved from monkeys? Come on, evolution, this is a new story. Is such a... And of course this guy was completely sincere, right? I don't need to clarify that. This guy, he thought that he had a handle on this whole evolutionary theory thing. So yes, that was an early eye opener for me when I realized that you can move the barrel aside and holy crap, it's just bottoms all the way down.
I've now encountered some of my favorites from my favorite timeline. This was the one I was remembering, one of my earlier favorites from the people that I retweet, because my second favorite topic is the Tower of Babel. And this is the best Tower of Babel tweet I've ever found. I can't help but wonder what words existed in the English lexicon at the time God created it at the Tower of Babel, and which words are man-made. Lol.
I think LOL itself is probably a man-made one.
I can just picture God going in there. Let's see. GTFO? No, we'll let them invent that one. LOL? No. Let's see. Baby cancer? Yeah, putting that in. MILF? Ooh, yeah, that's that one, yeah.
Which reminds me kind of the occasional times I go on retweeting people that keep going on about words they don't like being made-up words. So I wonder if they, too, have this view that there's an original English lexicon from Tower of Babel and can't have any
How would
words.
that work? God comes down or sends down some of his angels or whatever. He's like, okay, from now on you speak Turkish, and just in case you don't know how, here's a dictionary. It's just, here's 3 copies for your children because they're gonna have to learn it as well.
We spelled out some of the harder words phonetically.
There's also a guy who wrote a book about how modern English was the original language of the British Isles and did not evolve from Anglo-Saxon. And one of his arguments to back this up is the monkey question, is that after all, since in the way that scientists can't explain why there are still monkeys, obviously linguists don't know what they're doing either. So also my crazy idea is valid.
Oh yeah, isn't it the case that linguists just sit around?
Tell us too early. Don't shoot yourself yet.
I would have read the book if it was on Kindle, but I really don't want to pay shipping costs on it.
But I
would have given this crazy man $5 because
that's the way that science.
Give him some money.
And that's the way science and etymologists and doctors and that stuff like that work, right? We put on our black cape, we sit in a dark circle with black candles, and we just for an etymologist we think up words like, okay, we have this strange thing here. It's yellow. It had wheels. Let's call it a train. That sounds cool. Yeah, and let's not tell anyone that we just made this word up. It's just like scientists. We're like, let's see. There's a monkey here. Kind of looks like. It kind of looks like my neighbor. You know what? I think they're related. Let's have a beer.
Exactly.
All right, guys. Science is over for the month. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
Let's go claim our paycheck. Oh, paychecks. Here's a good one.
Oh yeah, paycheck.
How much do you guys get paid?
There was this guy asking specifically that question, so we might as well just answer it.
Oh yes, we have the question. Let me read it out. What's the going rate for shills? Do I need to provide evidence of amateur shilling? Are shill training courses available?
What?
I came up with a link. Totally legit shill training course. .gov.
Is that registered? Because I might register that and put up a fake
Register
website
that.
at totally legit shellcourse.com.
You'll probably get contacted by Monsanto every now, pretty soon. So
They'll buy
what
it
is
off
your
of you.
going rate? I'm doing it for two free hamburgers at the McDonald's, as long as I don't foul mouth them.
I don't think anyone's even given me 2 free hamburgers at McDonald's. You know, no one cares about shilling for linguists.
The biggest market for shells would be GMOs. That's for certain.
True. So what's your going rate?
I mean, if you really think about it, Monsanto will probably be bankrupt by the time they give out all their money to everyone. So I'd just say it's like $10 because come on, Monsanto doesn't have that much money.
Come on. It's like the Illuminati are behind that, and they have endless supplies of money.
The Illuminati control the money because money isn't real.
Then
Yeah,
what's
and
the
then
stuff
there's-
in my wallet?
It's Illuminati bucks.
Oh, okay. So go. Sorry, GMO, go on.
There was this guy saying Obama's printing more money to do something, and he's like totally ignoring inflation.
Technically, Obama is printing money, and he is
Like-
contributing to inflation. But yeah,
I've often wished that the causes I actually believed in did have paid shills because that would be great. Like, if I could just go talk about things that I actually believed in, like, be on Twitter and be like, yeah, science! And someone would pay me. That would be, like, the best job. Even as, like, a side job. I mean, obviously I'm doing it anyway, so...
So how much are you paid, Reason?
Well, I get paid for each white person that I genocide, so
Hashtag Rainbow of Murder.
And you, Darwin, how much?
Well, if I keep it up for another 3 years and continue making fun of creationists, then I'm going to get a voucher that's good for either one Richard Dawkins retweet or half off a game of miniature golf.
Wow!
Someone
need
sent
to
you
ask
a
for
mug
a
though.
raise.
You got a mug for.
Yeah,
for
exactly.
your retweeting.
That was Rance. That was Take That Foreskin, wasn't it? I
Yes,
think so. I think that's it. But that was actually for a comment on his Instagram or whatever.
Oh,
I
yeah,
won
yes.
a contest there.
So you're a shill for mugs.
Talk about the shell gambit. Shilling for companies versus shilling for Satan. Pseudoscience versus fundamentalism. So generally, why do people keep using the shell gambit for arguments?
I think it's because it's a way to not address what people are saying, and that's the way that it's kind of similar with fundamentalists being like, you're saying what Satan wants you to say.
Yes.
And it's almost exactly the same phrasing as when you're having, an argument about. Sorry about that.
Jesus Christ.
Sorry, I reopened my window because it was one window instead of all of them because it was really hot.
So you think that the reason they're using that argument
Oh
is
yeah, it keeps you from having to actually address the issue because then it's that you're just saying this for someone else, whether that's Satan or the chemtrails that you're shilling for. I'm not clear on who exactly pays you to shill for the lack of chemtrails, but I just noticed that people phrase things in the same way when they say you're working for Satan versus you are working for Monsanto or
Monsanto
the
is Satan.
chemtrails.
Yeah, well, I agree, but it's a way of trying, and the emphasis on trying here, trying to discredit the people who actually use the argument by saying, well, you're not being sincere or you're not to be believed because somebody else is paying you or pushing you or motivating you or whispering dark thoughts in your ear. I'm not going to listen to you because you're not truthful. You're not somebody I need to take into account because it's not you speaking, it's the one that's paying you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're more or less treated as like just a troll or just I'm trying to find the word here, but you're just basically acting as a bridge between, say, Monsanto, for example, and the normal person who's trying to be tricked into being poisoned or whatever they come up with. So it's just that you're treated more or less as just somebody's not legitimate. You're not actually trying to promote GMOs. You're just simply trying to lie and come up with stuff. That's what you're trying to do.
It is a tempting thought, isn't it, that everything that you're opposed to is just this like monolithic, hierarchical, evil society that is just some colossal black machine, and everyone in it is just a little cog, and You are, fighting for individuality, right?
Yes, because you have the one true faith and the one true idea, and you're the only one whose eyes are open, and the others are
You're a
sheeple.
beacon.
Yeah,
Yes,
the
there
shining
you go.
beacon in a sea of whatever. It's typical though that the people who tend to use those lines are the ones who are mindlessly following some sort of ideology
Yeah, it's
or
just
some sort of.
it's simply hypocrisy. If I were to actually work at Monsanto and then argue with you, I would make it clear that I work at Monsanto, but I don't, and people just don't believe that. It's
I
just
would
silly.
love to work for Monsanto.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either. I get a good paycheck.
Yeah, it's better than the 2 burgers. Still not as good as a voucher.
Yeah, I think there may be some element of people maybe more with the Satan thing than with the Monsanto thing, but maybe a little bit of both.
I would say it's
Because
the other way
people
around.
are used to getting their idea from someone specifically. They can't really conceive that someone else is not using the same method reversed, which is really a theme in fundamentalism and a lot of things. Is they think that whatever disagrees with them is their mirror image.
Oh, just yeah. What she's saying here is exactly what I hit upon independently from her. I imagine the creationists, they have a bearded white guy at the top of their belief system named God. Ergo, there's this other bearded white guy who's God's opposite, and that's Darwin. You've got priests on the one side, you've got scientists on the other. Obviously, they occupy identical roles. You've got the Bible, you've got Origin of Species. Clearly, that's the same. That's the same, right? Because they just cannot visualize someone who is thinking differently from the way they do.
Yeah, and I think it comes up a lot even to when you get into the marriage equality thing, because they're trying to not let the people they don't like get married. They say, you must be wanting Christians to not have Christian marriage. That has to be your goal, because your goal must be the mirror image of our goal.
Okay, they cannot exactly understand how something out of their mind is happening. One argument that I recently came up upon was, ew, just ew. That's not an argument. Seriously. People use that. I was once in a debate about evolution, and there was questions from the audience, and there's this person, and then she was like, "What if Darwin went crazy on the trip?" That's what the heck? What the heck?
What indeed?
That was literally. I'm not even changing anything. That was literally what she said.
It's just, I often wonder how, and I'm legitimately asking you guys now, how much of this do you think these people actually believe themselves? How much of this is proper conviction, and how much of this is fear of slipping?
I really don't know, and I was raised very religiously, and I
Same.
was very sincere as a child, but I can't imagine having the mindset I had as a child with a non-childish outlook on life. So even though I do understand it, at the same time I can only imagine that in the mind of a child. I hesitate, though, to project onto someone else that they don't believe what they say they do, because I'm not actually in their head. I think sometimes it's clear that people don't, such as, Republicans preaching family values and getting caught in public restrooms with gay hookers, which happens a lot. I think those people are clearly not sincere, but some of the other people, it's my initial reaction. I want to say, my reaction whenever I hear it is like, no, nobody really believes
Nobody's that stupid, yeah.
But I don't honestly know. That's really kind of a knee-jerk reaction that I have, and I feel extremely uncertain about how many people actually believe of the things they say.
I would say some people actually kind of try to have comfort. So, for example, if you're kind of on the fence and you're a bit unsure, you kind of have comfort backing what you previously backed. So, for example, you think organic is better versus GMOs. still argue for organic even though you're not very certain. Very good example of that is Mark Linus. There was a recent article about that came up. I'm pretty sure you can find it somewhere if you're listening. But basically says that he used to write articles and he didn't believe at all in what he was writing, and that kind of comes into what I'm trying to say here.
Did you see what you're saying? I think that was also kind of where I was going with. I think it's more clear sometimes the people who are actually benefiting from it in some way, maybe less sincere, or who's the guy that's always doing the first cause argument? William Lane Craig. I think there's no way William Lane Craig still believes his own line, because he's not stupid. I'm not going to say he's the smartest person to ever walk the earth,
No.
but he's really not completely stupid, and he's got to have had explained to him so many times the giant holes. But that is how he makes his living, and I don't think there's any way he still believes the things that he says.
I believe it was Seneca who said religion is regarded by the fools as true, the wise as false, and the leaders as useful. And I think that applies to everything held religiously, such as convictions. I always find it difficult to tell whether or not people are defending ideas because they have the ideas or because they actually believe those ideas. Because sometimes it's just it's people, especially in the retweets from you guys, people are so adamant, so violent in their clinging behavior that it makes me wonder whether or not they've already decided subconsciously that they don't agree with themselves, and the only way to fight their own insecurity is to fight us.
Well, yeah, cognitive dissonance is a very powerful
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, that's the term I was looking for.
There you
Thanks.
go.
Yeah, and so I wouldn't say that these beliefs are insincerely held. I would just say that maybe they're unevenly applied. So they are able to say, okay, well, it's not actually a lie. It's a half-truth, what I'm saying here, and yet it is, and of course this is all sort of unconscious processing here. They're not going to write down, I'm just going to lie a little bit. No, they're just, this is not really a lie. It is true enough to communicate the point, and I know that the enemies, the bad guys, they're already completely lying. So if I'm still mostly telling the truth, then I'm the good guy. And of course, that's what's the word? Seductive. That's sort of a seductive train of thought right there. So and it's not that this is the way they feel they're approaching things, perhaps, but I think we've all been there in arguments with loved ones, and where we're like, okay, I'm just gonna kind of spin this rhetorically in such a way that I look like the good guy here, and it's mostly true. It's certainly how I feel.
At least my point is being made, which it's because I don't understand properly, or I can't explain properly. I know I'm right, but I'm gonna have to bend the truth a little to get the point that I'm right across.
Yeah, twist it around. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point as well. People think there is a good argument. I'm not quite sure what it is. So if I can make someone else believe I'm still doing the right thing.
Yeah, that happened to my mother-in-law. I got into a religious discussion with her, which is not always a good idea, being your mother-in-law and such. So I got into a religious argument, and she said, I can't explain this, but I know I'm right. Could you come to church with me one day? And there happened to be a baptism a couple of weeks later of my niece. So I said, you know what? I'll come. And he was having this conversation, this preach. I was doing fallacy bingo, really. I was like, one more and I have 2 across and 3 wide, and 4 more and I have a complete list. He was hitting the fallacies left, right, and center. And when we got out of the church, the first thing she said was, "Now do you see my point?" And I thought it wise not to say anything at that point.
That reminds me of a conversation I had, which was not about a religious topic, on IRC with someone, and they were just really gish-galloping, and every time I would make a point, they would just be like, oh, that's not important, and they would just move on to the next point. And then they would recycle over and over. Like, they had 4 things, and they kept going through, and I couldn't get them to pin any of it down. And then after we'd been at this for like 2 hours, he was like, well, I have to go, but, I hope that I've given you a lot to think about. And I'm like, no, you really haven't, because literally you made no points every time you were pinned down.
That reminds me of all the times that Jehovah's Witnesses come to my door. They always leave with less of a smile than when they came, for some odd reason.
Oh, I've only once been visited by Jehovah's Witnesses, which is I actually like to talk to people about why they believe the things they do if they're polite, and usually Jehovah's Witnesses are actually polite.
They are.
But I had not, as an adult, been visited by them except one time, and when I said that I did not already believe that the Bible was true, they were like, oh, okay, have a good day, and they just left. At least those seem to only be interested in converting other Christians. I was very polite, I think. Sometimes, apparently, I'm not polite when I think I am. But they didn't seem offended. They just, I said, oh, but I'm interested to know why you think that's true. And they're like, oh, well, bye. And I thought it was very strange. That was not what I expected. It was very surprising.
How many of you have come across that argument that say, well, in order to see that it's true, you have to believe that it's true. You have to believe it first.
Yeah.
So like the unicorns. I mean, the ones next to you right now. No, just kidding. How many of you have had that an argument with Christians, Muslims, Jews, whatever, Jehovah's Witnesses, you name them, that say, well, as long as you're not a believer, you can't really see where I'm coming from.
I see it all the time on the internet. I don't recall whether I've ever encountered that in not on the internet.
We were talking just before the podcast, what should the next genetically modified organism be?
Oh, yes.
White people. Oh, wait, there will be.
Well, white people are the result of interbreeding with fallen angels, as I understand it, from Emmanuel, my favorite crazy person. And had
Wait. Why did none of those angels try to inbreed with me? I'm jealous.
No, you are also
I'm already white, yeah, fuck.
Exactly.
Oh, sorry.
You are unfortunately part of the Nephilim. Or fortunately, I'm unclear. He has several interesting ideas about the things that are an indication that you are part of the Nephilim.
I would create a monkey that slowly morphs into a human towards the end of his life. It starts out as a monkey baby, but it dies as a grown old man. It's
and the creation museum.
And then somehow along the line you would say, okay, creationists, at what point did this guy turn into a human?
Like, it could be applying for a boat loan 1 minute and then brachiating off through the trees the next.
That would be actually cool, It's like, yeah, I'm done with being human for today. I'm just gonna, eat bananas and then I don't know, throw shit at people, and I'm gonna turn back into a monkey.
I have seen many, many monkeys, and I've never seen a monkey throwing shit. I think that it's an urban legend. I don't think monkeys throw shit.
I've seen humans throw shit.
That's nice.
Yes.
Let's talk about the most repeated arguments that you generally see. Of course,
Darwin,
Darwin,
yeah. Oh, yeah, man, we want to hear you now. Come on.
Hey, I got one, yeah. Yeah, the most repeated arguments, and I love the fact that this one is just so grassroots, I mean, the largest creationist organizations, they're like, do not ask about the monkeys. But these people, they've got it in their head. They've noticed that monkey, and they're like, I'm on you now. I have pierced the veil of deception. People have commented repeatedly. It's like they're the first ones who've ever thought of this, and I think that is true. I think that maybe they have just put these facts together in their heads. Evolved from monkeys. Monkeys are still here. My God, I'm a genius.
The very fact that this is something that they need to shout out right away, it's like, I figured this out. I came across something brilliant. I must put this on Facebook. I mean, why?
Holy shit! I just discovered.
Why haven't all the others noticed this yet? And then you put it on Facebook, and then there's actually someone who responds, "Wow, that's deep. You must be onto something." How do you picture this goes? They figure out that there are monkeys. They've probably been to the zoo or something like that.
I don't think
And
they've
then they
been to
figure
the
out, and then they figure out, how come scientists haven't gone to the zoo yet?
zoo.
Don't they know there are monkeys there?
I'd say, and when it comes to the debate about GMOs, there's just a big chunk of arguments that you have to deal with. So you generally have to deal with a lot of moving the goalposts and things like that. I'd say one of the most repeated arguments that come around would be just simply about the safety of GMOs, or that they cause cancer or stuff like that. But some people do try to be fair. They acknowledge that they've been proven safe, 2,000 plus studies, and then they go off to other tangents. But generally, there's just a lot of goalpost moving. So it's just generally you have to be able to deal with moving goalposts and kind of trying to stay on argument when you deal with these people.
I feel it's like it's talking to children most of the time. At least I approach it the same way I do students in my class. Whenever they use a fallacy or try to drift away from the subject, you nudge them back. You gently ease them back into the conversation up until the point that they, not you, but they realize that they're stuck or need to change something. Problem is that you can't do that with everyone because I'd have to be 600 years old by then. And long story short, I approach my subjects, if I approach them, with the same attitude as I would students in my class.
I actually find that the Socratic method piss people off. They get really angry, even if you just ask them a question. If you're like, well, does A imply B? They'll be like, shut up! And
You're not sticking to the
people
script.
get really, really angry about you literally not saying something, but just asking a question. Going about. Sometimes they're angry because they're like, the answer to this is obvious. Are you stupid? Why would you ask such a stupid question?
Yeah, but indeed, it's you said you're not sticking to the script, Darwin. It's really like that. I mean, they have this story that plays out in their head that they have a revelation or a religious view or something that would make all the world fall to their knees and confess to the Lord, and then you come up with this annoying question that makes them think. Why are you not playing along?
It's like a game of chess. You have this whole move. You're like, oh, I'm a genius. I've got this whole move planned out, and then the other player just makes this one turn, and the whole thing just crumbles down.
And you're mad because he didn't play your game.
And when I say script here, sometimes it's a very literal sort of thing. Like in prison, Kent Hovind wrote blog posts. You see books that exist along the same line where it is an imagined conversation between the credulous person and the skeptic, or however they want to spin that. And it is clear that this is what a creationist or health ranger fan would view the ideal person to argue with. Someone who asks exactly the right questions to play into their hands. It's like, oh yeah, this imaginary conversation, it looks beautiful. I bet this is exactly how it's going to be in reality. It's not. People ask much different questions from what you expect.
Yeah, people have different brains. They check different sources. It's just silly to assume they're going to answer in the exact same way.
Yeah, I've seen many times people start literal scripted conversations that I've seen from other fundamentalists, Kent Hovind and other people, where they use either exactly the same words or very, very close to the same words. Sometimes they'll even respond. They'll act as if you gave the scripted response back. Sometimes.
Yeah. And there's always this idea that if they ask the question, that there's only one or two answers possible, and then when you come up with a third answer or comment on the way the question is put or phrased, then all of a sudden you're the bad guy because you didn't stick to the script.
I'll go off on a tangent here, just to the side. I'll talk about generally the way people perceive secret organizations or governments or things like that. It's just so cliche. They imagine Obama just sitting there, like I don't know, just wearing something like a balaclava, and then talking with like other people very secretly in just a very dark room. That's not how things happen.
He's actually sitting on OkCupid, like matching up the straight people for gay marriages. That's what Obama does.
Speaking of the marriage thing, because boy, did that hit home. All of us, at least most of us in here, but all of us interested in here, that gay marriage thing, the SCOTUS decision, that blew up Twitter.
Mm-hmm. And I'm glad that Take That Homo came back from his sabbatical or whatever so that he could cover it.
Yeah.
It's true. It was kind of sad that he wasn't there right when it broke.
Yeah, me and Etty and a bunch of other people were like there, and I retweeted a whole bunch of like news sites and stuff, just tweeting out the news. And then TSV just got on and he retweeted all of the stuff I retweeted, and I got like a bunch of notifications.
The amount of fear that people express, whether it's comparing Obama to Hitler, which was one of my favorites, or the Gestapo, which
it would be.
Gestapo, best thing ever.
I mean, people are actually afraid that these people will now come to them and say, your marriage is a straight marriage. You can no longer be married. You're going to have to break up and marry that guy. They actually fear that their own marriage is in danger because two people can now have the exact same rights that they do.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really matter to you. You're still married to whoever you want to be married to. Why do you care about other people? What does that even have to do with you?
I've seriously never heard even a half-coherent argument for it. Even something that doesn't make sense. I haven't even heard something that would make sense if facts were different. Like,
who was the which one of us also retweeted that priest thing or televangelist who said that gay people already have the same rights as we do to marry one person of the opposite sex?
I've actually seen a lot of people say that. I've seen a lot of people say that. It's
Really
not
good
the
point.
most common
Very good
thing,
point.
but I've seen it at least 50 times.
That literally made me facepalm. I actually put my hand to my forehead going, this is not happening.
I like the one where there was some guy, he posted a picture it said there was a picture of the LGBT flag, and it said, so this flag is free speech.
Oh, yeah,
and then there was a conservative, not the Confederacy flag, and it says
Confederate flag.
Yeah, that one.
One of the things that we see a lot here is, oh my God, they've redefined marriage. And hey, etymology, you tell me this, all right?
Yes.
Are these fans big fans? Are these folks big fans of redefining words?
Really depends on how
There's
much
actually-
it weighs in their favor, right?
Yes, that is true as well. One of the things that I also retweet often is people pointing out that marriage or matrimony ultimately comes from the Latin word for mother, and there's like, so you gotta have babies. It's not marriage. And the funniest thing about that is really part of a lot of the things I retweet is funny is that every language doesn't even use a word derived from that. Other languages have completely different etymologies for the concept of marriage. So sometimes I like to be like, okay, you can get married in these countries that have a non-romance derived word for marriage, but not these. Here it's fine. Here you have to be a mother. There you go.
I also retweeted some news article by some conservative news site, and it said something like Obama forces gay marriage upon all states.
How does that work? Are they sending in the National Guard, just rounding up gay people? You're gonna have to get married now. I don't care if you say I do or I don't. You did.
They just round up everyone, gay or not.
Let's just talk about the people who recur to us a lot. For example, Joe, I can't pronounce his last name.
Joe Sieskowski, what is it? Yeah.
He keeps popping up.
He's cracked the code, boys.
You know what? I think that would be one of the people who actually believes what he says, no matter how stupid it is. This guy had a revelation in jail. I think it was called methamphetamine or something. And ever since that, he actually believes whatever Ken Ham or Kent Hovind or whatever these guys are, Eric Hovind, whatever these guys say is true. How many times this guy didn't tweet out that Israel is our ally and we should, or God will punish us. This man truly believes whatever he writes down.
I think that may be the case, and I think he's stupid enough to believe all of those things simultaneously.
What about Darfus? Darfus, whatever his
Trending.
last.
Oh my god, that guy.
Yes.
So
He's
he's this guy who believes that there were no planes at 9/11.
And he popped up with 2 other accounts.
Yeah,
like,
and so he
tried-
keeps
yeah.
like making new accounts, and he has a really childish way of speaking. So it's really obvious
So
that it's
obvious,
him.
it's him. It's
So
just
this last
comedically
time that
funny.
he started it, I actually did a statistical analysis on his new tweets and his old tweets, and they're like exactly the same.
CSI Take That.
Obviously, I already knew that it was him.
Any one of you have a personal favorite besides him? I know
Emmanuel, lots of
First
numbers
name.
after Emmanuel.
Truth or
Yeah,
bot?
I
But
have.
that guy's schizophrenic, like definitely.
Bot.
Is that MMA guy?
Oh God.
Oh, I don't like that guy much. That guy's a dick.
Let's see.
I
I'll go
love
back to
Lori
my
Patriot.
account. I'll see who I
Sorry?
retweeted
Lori
recently.
Patriot.
Oh God, yeah,
I love her.
Patriot's crazy.
Does she actually believe what she's retweeting, do you think?
Yeah,
I
I'm
do.
putting her in the true
I
believer
completely-
cap.
I think she's completely sincere, yeah.
I have a-
Because, I mean, she blocked everybody.
No dissenting voices.
I have a couple of favorites. One of them is the genophilia person, who is one of the biggest white genocide accounts. He's the one who has always pictures of blonde politicians or something.
I once made like a list of the people who blocked me, but then I gave up on it. Seriously, there's so many people there.
The
My
first
favorite-
person who blocked me, I had never interacted with. I had only retweeted, and he blocked me, and that was.
My favorite person is Sacerdotus. He's
Okay.
not really one of my. He's not really one of my subjects, as in the topic that Godwin would retweet. But I've met many conversations with him as my alternate account, Kees Engels, and at a certain point, I out-argumented him so many times that he blocked me, and then he forgot that I had the alternate account. This guy is really, he's the master of dodging, and for some reason, I just can't leave him alone. He is Catholic in every way. He asks for money. He doesn't listen to arguments. He's my pet peeve.
Is he the guy that got kicked out of school?
That's the guy that got kicked out of priest school, yes. And of course it's not true, and he denies everything, and he uses false arguments. And the funny thing is, he doesn't know that he's arguing with somebody he lost to before. So he's trying all of the old arguments. And
Yeah, I don't usually respond to the people that I retweet because I don't have as big of a pool as some people, so I don't want to burn
Yeah,
my
I don't
bridges. Some
retweet
people
my
have blocked me anyway, so I just retweet screenshots.
Let's talk about the way we run our accounts. Of course, we're not all the same. Of course, we have the same spine, but we don't all do the same things. For example, Dal just retweets people and makes jokes. I don't like to do that a lot. I generally like to argue with the people. So literally just respond to the person and argue on and on and on. And a bunch of people do come in and pop in, and I generally make the jokes as I'm arguing. That's how I do things.
yeah, Darwin, let's try you first, because you were the one that started this.
Yeah.
How do you do this?
All right, yeah. Well, obviously, I run keyword searches, as you all do, but from the very beginning, my goal was never to engage these people. I honestly, I spent, it would be 2 decades arguing on creation evolution forums. I burned out on that completely. It never got anywhere, and it would just be the same arguments over and over, regardless of how many times they've been refuted. My goal here, I suppose, is instead of beating my head against that brick wall, to allow others to experience the true mindless horror of creationism. And it is to them I'm talking, not to the creationists. Because the creationists, you cannot really get to them. You can make the information available. You cannot convince them by arguing with them. This
Yeah,
is not going
there
to
has to
get
generally
through
be
to
like
them.
a seed of doubt somewhere in there.
That'll happen on their own. If they're I mean, it probably won't. But if it is going to happen, it's going to happen because they themselves have their own doubts about that position. They're going to start exploring some of the information that's out there and available on their own. It's not going to be because someone's bludgeoning them on the head with a science textbook.
Yeah, I think
So,
we can generally agree with that. Some of us, with our own personal anecdotes, I do generally agree with that, and that the person has to have their own will. They have to have their own, they have to put their own efforts in there. Otherwise, change won't happen.
Right, and so it's not to the creationists that I'm trying to talk at all. It is to the audience that I've somehow amassed. There's this giant group of masochists who follow what I do, because they are the ones who benefit from insights into creationist argumentation styles. It's they who benefit from the jokes, because I like to think that my jokes are pretty funny. I like to think that I'm
Pretty
They are
funny.
funny. They are funny.
If I may respond
Thank
to
you.
that one,
Don't cry.
yes.
They are funny.
Now, one of the reasons I started was because of the way that you didn't engage but made jokes on the side. They were actually very witty, and I'm trying to do
Thank
the
you.
same. I'm trying to do the same. I'm not really sure if I'm even remotely succeeding in this, but I retweet my subjects, the actual goblin subjects, and I never engage those. I try to make the same type of jokes and fail miserably every now and then, and every now and then I make a joke that makes me go,
I would say the ultimate purpose of my account would be to not leave a single person who's against GMOs who hasn't blocked me. I generally, I respond
Noble
back.
goal.
I respond back just that any gullible person out there, he scrolls over, he sees the tweet, and then he sees there's someone else with an opposing view, and there's a counter argument in there, and he doesn't generally just fall for the, I'd say, trap.
I very rarely engage with the people that I retweet. Sometimes if it's something new that I haven't seen before and the person doesn't seem completely crazy, I'll respond like once. But I don't really want people that I retweet to block me. But I do enjoy sometimes, depending on my mood, as I'm sure you guys have noticed, I'll have fights with all the people you retweet, or, polite non-fights, or with the really, really crazy people, mostly just Emmanuel, I just have to ask him to tell me more about the fallen angel, alien, temple, NWO, Illuminati, because
White people.
I need to know more. Oh yeah, white people.
Hypocrisy.
I used to engage with pretty much everyone, and then I noticed that not a good idea would get me blocked by everyone. Then I went to do I started doing what Dell does, like the making jokes on the outside, but now I just usually respond to them, but completely sarcastically.
I like to go with reaction gifs because sometimes that's all I have.
Most of the time, what I do is I'm currently live retweeting. I think we could try doing that. There's this guy Andrew Gates. He's like, if there's anything to learn from Jurassic World, it's that GMOs are bad. So there's a lot of people. Oh, okay. I've seen this loads of times.
I've seen that movie. I have yet to find the genetically modified corn cob killing the people in the park.
Just hold on
Killer
a second.
Tomatoes. Does anybody else remember that one?
Yeah,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was good.
I responded by saying it's a fictional movie. It doesn't even get the dinos right. I mean, come on. Just generally, I do one tweet, I retweet, and I just write a quick sarcastic thing, and then I leave it on. And generally, the person doesn't respond back. But sometimes there's some of those people who are really passionate about what they want. They respond back. I'm about to see a play about GMOs. My guess that the conclusion would be they are bad. I'm sure this is unbiased. Oh, okay.
I'm very interested in that. Speaking of Jurassic World, we should answer TSV's fine question of, in a hypothetical Planet of the Apes third reboot, if Ken Ham's Dr. Zaius, who should the rest of the characters be?
Well, Ken Ham does occupy a Dr. Zaius-esque position. I really think he looks more like Cornelius, although Cornelius being a skeptic, yeah.
They kind of look alike. I was thinking more personality-wise. I'm thinking Bill Nye. What the heck is Charlton Heston's character, main guy? But I'm just thinking Bill Nye being, yeah, I'm dirty apes. I don't know.
I think that little service, the monkey that sort of did the subservient role. That should be Banana Guy. Ray Comfort. That guy should really be in there with his banana thing.
I think we could try to get the like the health ranger on as like one of the what is it called, the apes.
I haven't actually seen the Planet of the Apes remakes, either of the newer
I've
ones.
watched-
I've seen the
I've
70s
seen-
movie.
I've seen one of the new
Dawn
ones,
of
but
the
I've not.
Planet.
Yeah, I've
Dawn
seen
of the
that one.
Planet, yeah. I like the way there's like Dawn of the Planet of the sequel of the. It's just really silly.
Yeah, I actually think the original Planet of the Apes is an excellent movie, and it's very thoughtful. I mean, it's silly in ways, but I heard the remake was really like just an action movie that had no point except maybe GMOs are bad. I don't know. I think there was some aspect of that, as I understand it, in the remake, but I have not seen it.
I was going to make an article about how science fiction or fiction in general is kind of feeding off of the fear or the paranoia. What's up with me pronouncing words? Paranoia of GMOs, and kind of thinking it's like Frankenfoods or like really advanced math science. But I didn't do that, so I might as well just talk about that here.
Well, you're absolutely right. That this has actually been a theme of science fiction dating back since forever. It's your reach exceeds your grasp. You can achieve these things, but as Ian Malcolm said, you're so busy seeing if you could, then you didn't bother to ask if you should. And this has been like all the ways back to like The Thing, not the Carpenter version, but the original from the black and white version from ancient grandpa times, is just the scientists who are so focused on their research that they ruin everything, probably with aliens or robots or something. But yeah, this is just traditionally how science fiction has been. Just look out for untamed research.
Yeah, sometimes it's very interesting to read science fiction from many decades ago, and you can see the hot button scientific scare of the moment.
Yes, that's exactly what I was about to say.
They had the same scare when microwaves came out. It was like, when microwaves came out, it's like people will be killed by the radiation, or kidneys will be cooked, or it's things like that. When cars came out, people were like, the speeds are too fast for the human body. The human body is unable to cope with such speeds. We will die halfway through the drive. And same thing backwards. Cigarettes were heralded as the wonder cure. It's science.
That is actually somewhat of a myth.
Yeah, that's not very true.
There were scientists and doctors that were in commercials. Some amount of them did, but the scientific consensus was never that.
There's an article about that. So yeah, well, I'm very hardcore with this whole pseudoscience fighting thing. We're taking it to the podcast.
Yeah, and the point is, but the point what I'm trying to make here is that there's always some sort of hype or even a hyperbole connected to every new scientific discovery. One word: Viagra.
Did anyone write like a scare science fiction story about Viagra? Because that would be pretty funny. Like, all these people going around with boners that last more than 4 hours. We're gonna die.
Yes, people who
imagine like swimming in with that, and then you just like accidentally hit them in the mouth.
People who said, well, if it comes in contact with surface water, it will spread like almost homeopathically, and everybody will walk around with a boner. And seriously,
I don't remember that. That's very funny.
You do not believe the stupidity that I've read about this. The thing is, it always happens when something new is invented or discovered. The status quo will fight hand and nail and tooth and nail. Thank you. And people will fight tooth and nail to defend that which they know and that which they have. As dumb or as backward or as unsafe or as dangerous as it may be, there is security in in conservation. And whatever new comes around, whether it's questions about something that they don't want to have questions about, whether it's a new invention, a new idea, or just other people redefining what they think should be marriage or living together, or every time something like that happens, people will be scared stiff and they will fight with whatever they have to keep what they have at that point, whether or not it's dangerous or backwards.
Yeah, I was watching this video on a channel called Think Fact, and it was talking about the way words, like for example, you have human is generally talking about humans. You have words like human, marriage, and things like that, and it's just generally we came up with the definitions, and then if the definition changes, we kind of have to change with the definition as well. You don't have to stick to the definition as if it's just a law.
Language never changes, like war.
Let's be honest, most of what science comes up with is a theory anyway, like evolution.
I think just as a last thing, we should just give shout-outs to some of the followers who always pop in. I have a bunch of people. This Black Fang 108, the Lord Wolf, he's probably listening.
Yeah, those are
Golos
the
comes
same
in.
for me.
There's also this German guy called Guido V4. He always also pops in. We've done like a bunch of collaborations and stuff.
I'd like to thank the people that paid me, or actually should be paying me, for all of my Hitler retweets. I'd like to thank, Hitler himself for giving me such a rich source of stupidity to mine from. And I'd like to thank you guys for being great and being an inspiration to me. And the last one was actually serious.
I want to thank everybody who follows my account and treats it with the same level of seriousness that I do, which is virtually none whatsoever. The people who crack jokes as well that I can retweet. You guys are fantastic. Your Kevin Clarks, your Elaine Hardys, your Black Mud Puppies, people like Twitwitty Val. These people, they make my job easier because they say the funny things that I don't have to think of.
Also, possibly shout out to Engels.
Friedrich Engels tweets.
Yes.
You want to follow that?
We all love you, Engels.
Yes, I would like to thank God and the monkeys.
10 out of 10. Would watch again.